Hello, grade 11s. Welcome back to the channel, Science Therapy, hosted by the one and only science therapist, Abudiwa Sos Ogobela Wemets. And without any further ado, let's look at this question that we have here. Okay, so we have question 2 on vectors in 2D, and then it says a pulley system is used to keep a heavy object at rest as shown on the diagram below. Then we can see the diagram like that. Then 2.1 says define the term resultant vector. We know that a resultant vector is a single vector that has the same effect as two or more other vectors acting together. So that's how you are expected to define that. Then 2.2 says draw a vector diagram showing the forces acting on the object. Label the forces and indicate the angles on your diagram, right? So we can see the instruction there. Now, what we are supposed to do here, note that we have two forces that we can visibly see. We can say this is T1 since it's tension, and then this is T2, tension number 2. But then we know in order to draw the vector diagram, which happens to be the triangle of forces, we need three forces to be in here. Now that force is obviously the gravitational force, which we cannot see because it's a non-contact force here. Then this is a Fg, or we can just term it the weight, right? Now, every time you are drawing this triangle of forces, you must always start with the W there, which is your weight. Now you can say, let me just draw it like this. So starting with your weight there you go, just like that. And then you take it as it is. So remember, we call this the cut and paste method. So whereby you are just taking all the forces as they appear there. So we know W is going downward vertically. This is it. We indicate. Then our T1 is going diagonally like that. We indicate it exactly like that. And then T2 is going diagonally like that. So this forms a triangle of forces just like that. And then all we ought to do now is just show our arrows. So we know that our gravitational force or weight is acting downward. So remember, we are using the tail to head method. So this is from the tail to the head, and from the tail of T1 to the head. So let's term this T1, label it T1. And then T1, we can see it's 1,440 newtons. And then up here, we have tension number 2, which is of magnitude 1,284.95 newtons. And then now we should indicate our angles, but be careful of the angles here. You don't just put the angles that you are given here. You must ensure that the angles are between the normal and the force that you are looking at, right? So the force in question. So the force that we are dealing with here is T1, and the angle that we are looking for is between the normal and the force. So if we have the 55 degrees here, we must say 90 minus 55. This gives us 35 degrees. Then down here, we must have 35 degrees. Now looking at this angle here for T2, we can see it's between the normal and the force in question, which is 40 degrees T2. So that's 40 here. Now, in order to get the angle that should go in here, all we have to do is say 180 degrees minus 40 degrees minus 35 degrees, because remember, sum of interior angles of a triangle is equals to 1/8. So all these angles here, when you add them up, they should give you 1/8. Now, if we do all that, this gives us 105 degrees. So we have 105 degrees up here. And then remember, this is our W. And then just like that, you have answered 2.2. So that's all you were required to do for a total of 4 marks. Then let's now calculate for 2.3. It says calculate the weight of the box, right? To calculate the weight, of course, we can say that we are not given the mass of the object, because we know to calculate the weight is just W is equals to M times G, but then we are not given the mass of the object. So that means we have to try other ways of finding that. Always note that if they ask you to draw a vector diagram and then below they ask you to calculate either the weight or the tension, then you must just use the diagram that you just drawn above to find the solution. So at this point, what are we going to do? We can we can see that we cannot use SOHCAHTOA mainly because this is not a right angle triangle. So we cannot use this. Why? Not a right angled triangle, right? So we only use SOHCAHTOA when it is a right angle triangle. So that means what can we use now? We will use the sine rule, right? So maybe you haven't studied with the sine rule in grade 11 yet, but then just simple, it's you take sine A, and then if you are taking the angle A, then you have to make sure you take the side that is opposite angle A. Then if you take angle B, sine angle B, then you take the side that is opposite that angle B. If you take sine C, then you take the side that is opposite angle C. Now, what do I mean by that? That means I'm looking for W here. I can take this angle here, which is 105. I will say sine 105 degrees. But then sine 105 degrees is opposite to which side? The W, the weight. So I must say sine 105 degrees divided by W, right? Then equal to what? So I only need to have one expression in either side of the equation. So I can choose to work with the 40 degrees, right? If I choose to work with the 40 degrees, that means I have sine 40 degrees, but I must choose a side that is opposite the 40 degrees, which is what? 1,440, right? So that's basically what you do. Then at this point, you just want to make your W the subject of the formula. If you cross multiply this, you have W sine 40 degrees, and then 1,440 multiplied by what? Sine 105 degrees. Now we understand that at this point, we must just divide both sides by the sine 40 degrees. So divide both sides by sine 40 degrees. Here they divide out, and then we are left with this. If we punch all this into our calculator, we have 2,163.91 newtons. And that's how you were supposed to solve this question. So just like that, you have found your weight. And that's how you were supposed to solve this question for a total of 9 marks as a whole. So please press the thumbs up button if you've enjoyed the lesson and then you have found it helpful. And if you've been watching the videos and haven't subscribed yet, please smash that subscribe button. But most importantly, please share the link with your friends and classmates so that they may also find assistance. Remember, do not be selfish. We are winning as a team.